Hey everyone, welcome back to the Z Consulting Podcast.
Glad to be back.
So today we're going to be diving into a topic that I think is super fascinating.
Yeah.
It's something that's always on the minds of entrepreneurs, I think, especially if you're just getting started.
Yeah, for sure.
And that is why startups fail.
Ooh, yeah, big one.
Yeah. So we're going to be kind of dissecting and taking apart this essay from Paul Graham.
Oh, right.
Do you know Paul Graham?
Of course, Y Combinator, right?
Yeah. So he's the co-founder of Y Combinator.
Yep.
And he wrote this essay called Why Startups Fail.
Mm-hmm.
And it was actually written back in 2006.
Wow.
So
a while ago.
Yeah, a while ago.
Yeah.
But I think it's super relevant even today.
I think so, too. It's interesting how, even almost 2 decades later,
Right.
so much of this advice still really rings true.
Yeah.
It seems like while the technology changes really rapidly, the fundamentals of building a business that works don't change that much.
Yeah, I think that's so true. Okay, so his first point, I thought this was really interesting.
Okay.
He says that solo founders are like a big red flag.
Interesting.
And he even says, couldn't you convince anyone else to join you?
Ouch.
Yeah, it's kind of like
brutal, but fair.
A little harsh.
Yeah.
But is there something to that?
I think there's definitely something there to unpack.
Yeah.
Think about the journey of a startup. It's so full of uncertainty and long nights and tough decisions.
Yeah.
Having a co-founder or even a small core team, can provide such essential support. So, you can brainstorm together, you can share the workload and just keep each other motivated during those inevitable rough patches.
Yeah, it's kind of like having a built-in sounding board and cheerleader all in one, right?
Yeah, and therapist. And
therapist. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you need it all.
But what if you, genuinely can't find anyone else who believes in your idea?
That's a really good question. And, sometimes it might be that you are on to something truly innovative that other people just don't quite grasp yet. But I do think that if you've pitched your idea to multiple people and you haven't been able to get anyone on board, it is worth taking a step back and kind of asking yourself some tough questions is there something I'm missing? Is the market really there? Sometimes that lack of initial buy-in can be a really valuable signal.
It's that outside perspective that can be so crucial, especially in those early stages.
Yeah, you're so in your own head. It's hard to see the bigger picture sometimes.
Okay, so he also talks about location.
Okay.
And he was saying back in 2006, obviously Silicon Valley was the place to be.
Yeah.
Do you think that's still the case today, or have things changed a bit?
It's an interesting question because I think Silicon Valley still holds a certain allure. Yeah. It's this concentration of investors and experienced talent and just a culture that's steeped in innovation. Right. But I do think we've also seen this rise of incredible startup ecosystems in cities all over the world.
Yeah.
Think about Austin or New York or London or Tel Aviv. They all offer these really unique advantages.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all anymore.
Exactly. It really depends on the type of startup you're building, the industry you're in, even just personal preferences. Choosing the right location, I think, is all about carefully weighing the pros and cons.
So give me an example.
Well, Silicon Valley, you get access to top-tier talent, top-tier funding.
Right.
But the cost of living, the competition are fierce.
Right.
A smaller city, maybe lower overhead, less competition.
Yeah.
But attracting talent and investors might be a little bit more challenging.
So you're really saying it comes down to finding the ecosystem that best fits your needs and your
culture, your goals.
Goals, yeah, exactly.
And I think we can't forget about the impact of remote work as well. Technology has made it possible for startups to operate from virtually anywhere. Yeah. Assemble these distributed teams and just tap into global talent pools.
Right.
So location might still play a role, but it's definitely not the make or break factor I think it once was.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's where I think things get really interesting.
Okay.
He talks about this idea of hiding in a tiny niche.
Okay.
And he actually argues that avoiding competition altogether could mean you're avoiding a good idea.
Ooh.
Can you unpack that a little?
Oh, yeah. It does seem counterintuitive at first, right?
Yeah.
But think about it, if no one else is tackling this specific problem, it could be because there's no real market for it.
Okay.
Or the problem itself just isn't that significant. A healthy amount of competition often actually validates that you're onto something worth pursuing.
So it's not just about finding a niche.
Yeah.
It's about finding a niche that's actually
Totally.
worth your time and effort.
No, with demand and the potential for growth.
Right, exactly. A niche with real demand and potential for growth.
Yeah.
Okay, so you really need to have both of those things.
For sure.
So you're saying that avoiding competition completely?
I think it could be a sign that you're not thinking big enough, or maybe you're lacking the confidence to create a truly superior solution.
Interesting. Okay. So building on that idea, he also talks about the imitation trap.
Oh, yeah.
Where startups try to just like copy existing companies.
Yeah.
Why is that such a pitfall?
Well, I mean, first of all, can you imagine trying to beat an established player at their own game? They already have the brand recognition, the customer base, the resources.
You already start?
Yeah, you're so far behind.
So far behind.
From day one.
Yeah.
And when you're just copying, you're not really bringing anything new or innovative to the table.
You're not adding anything.
No, you're essentially playing catch up from the beginning. It's almost like trying to write a hit song by just mimicking the style of like a really popular artist.
Right.
You might get some initial attention.
Yeah.
But you're going to lack the authenticity and the originality to really stand out.
So you need your own unique angle, your own story.
Totally.
Your own way of solving that problem.
Yeah, your own special sauce.
Your own special sauce.
I like that.
Right? Think about companies like Apple or Google.
Yeah.
They didn't become giants by copying other people.
Right. They revolutionized industries by solving problems they personally experienced.
Right.
And by creating products that were truly groundbreaking.
Yeah, okay. So that kind of leads us to another key point that he makes.
Yeah.
And that is adaptability.
Ooh, adaptability. Huge.
Yeah, so huge.
Yeah.
And he makes this point that successful startups often end up doing something quite different from what they originally planned.
Totally.
So I've heard this before, like the whole idea of pivoting.
Yeah.
Why is that so common in the startup world?
Because the journey is rarely linear. Like, you're going to encounter unexpected challenges. You're going to discover new opportunities. You're going to learn from your mistakes.
Yeah.
Think of it like navigating a winding road.
Okay.
You might have a destination in mind,
right?
But you need to be prepared to adjust your course along the way.
So how can founders ensure they're building that adaptability into their DNA?
I think it starts with being open to feedback.
Okay.
Both from your team and from your early users. You know, don't be afraid to challenge those initial assumptions.
Right.
Test your hypotheses.
Yeah.
And be willing to change direction if the data suggests it's the right move.
It's almost like you have to be ready to
totally
throw away the plan and come up with a new one.
Sometimes, yeah, be flexible.
Right. Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Before we get too far ahead of ourselves, I do want to remind our listeners that if you're looking for more insights and resources on startups and business growth, be sure to visit us at www.zconsultant.com.
Great website.
We've got tons of helpful articles and guides and tools to help you on your entrepreneurial journey.
Absolutely.
Okay, now let's dive into another crucial factor.
All right, let's do it.
And that is hiring.
Ooh, big one.
Yeah. And Graham specifically highlights this challenge of finding good developers.
Yeah.
Especially for non-technical founders.
Makes sense.
So this is something that I think we hear all the time.
Yeah, for sure.
What advice would you give to non-technical founders who are trying to navigate this world of tech hiring?
Okay, so the most important thing I would say is get a second opinion from someone you trust who understands code and can accurately evaluate.
So like a technical advisor?
Yeah, someone like that. Yeah. Don't just rely on resumes or interviews. Like, look for code samples, conduct technical tests. You know, even consider bringing in that technical advisor to help you assess those candidates.
So it's about seeking that expert advice and not being afraid to ask for help.
Totally, because hiring the wrong developer can be so incredibly costly, like both in terms of time and money.
Right.
Taking the time to find the right fit from the start can save you so many headaches.
So many headaches.
Okay.
Okay, now let's talk about platforms.
Okay.
Graham actually uses this example of PayPal.
Oh, wow.
And their near-death experience.
Oh, no.
With a platform switch.
Interesting.
To illustrate the importance of choosing the right technical foundation.
Yeah.
So what are some of the key considerations when you're making this decision?
All right, well, first of all, you got to think about scalability.
Okay.
can this platform handle your growth as you get more users and more data?
Right.
How robust are the security features that protect your sensitive information and your customers' data?
Right.
Ease of use is another one, both for your development team and for your end users.
Okay.
And of course, you want to think about the availability of support and resources.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like there's a lot to think about.
There is.
Is there a way to simplify that process?
I think one approach is to start by really clearly defining your product's requirements.
Okay.
And your long-term goals.
Right.
Like, what kind of data are you going to be handling? What level of performance do you need?
Mm-hmm.
What features are essential?
Right.
And once you have a good understanding of your needs, then you can start evaluating different platforms and see which ones align the best.
So it's about doing your homework, aligning your technical choices with your business goals.
Yeah.
And then making sure that you're choosing a platform that can evolve
for sure
with your startup.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's shift gears and talk about timing. That delicate balance between launching too early and waiting too long.
Ooh, yeah, that's a tough one.
How do you know when you're truly ready to launch?
I know. It's a classic dilemma.
Right.
You never want to launch a product that's like half-baked or riddled with bugs.
Right.
But waiting too long can be detrimental too.
Okay.
You risk being outpaced by competitors, losing momentum, or missing out on that valuable early feedback.
So how do you find that sweet spot?
Well, that's where I think this concept of a minimum viable product, or MVP, comes in.
Okay, I've heard of that.
It's basically about launching a version of your product with just those core features needed to solve the user's problem.
So it doesn't have to be perfect.
It doesn't need all the bells and whistles.
Okay.
Just enough to get it in front of real users, gather that feedback, and then iterate based on that feedback.
So it's almost like testing the waters before.
Totally.
Dip your toe in. Dive in head first.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Okay, before we move on to the next section, I want to take a quick pause to remind our listeners about our website.
Awesome.
If you are looking for more guidance on navigating this startup world, head over to www.zconsultant.com. We're here to help you make those entrepreneurial dreams a reality.
Oh, sure.
Okay, now let's talk about something that is absolutely essential.
Okay.
But I think often overlooked.
Right.
And that is understanding your users.
Huge. Yeah.
Graham emphasizes this. He says that you can't build a successful product without knowing your target audience deeply.
Makes sense.
I think it's kind of obvious you need to know who you're building for, but like, what are some practical steps that startups can take to gain that deeper understanding?
Yeah, it's not enough to just assume you know what they want. Like, you need to get out there and talk to them, observe their behavior, understand those pain points, conduct user research, run surveys, organize focus groups, even get out there and shadow your users in their natural environment.
So it's almost like you're being a detective, gathering these clues and piecing together this picture of your ideal customer. Ideal customer, exactly. Yeah. And it's important to get that feedback early and often.
For sure.
Right throughout that entire development process.
The sooner you start incorporating that feedback, the less likely you are to build a product that totally misses the mark.
Okay, so you've got a great idea. You've got a solid team.
Yep.
You've done your market research.
Yeah.
You're starting to get some traction.
All right.
Now comes the question of funding.
Ooh, yeah, big one.
Yeah. And Graham discusses these dangers of both raising too little and too much money.
Interesting.
So let's start by talking about the risks of not raising enough.
Okay.
What are some of the pitfalls there?
Every startup has this limited runway, this period of time that you have before you run out of cash.
Right.
And if you raise too little money, you're going to be constantly scrambling to make ends meet. And you might not have the resources to really capitalize on opportunities.
Right.
Or weather those unexpected storms.
It's almost like setting out on this journey with like only half a tank of gas.
Yeah, you're going to be worried about running out of fuel. Yeah. The whole time.
Right. You need enough to make sure you get to your destination.
You need enough runway to give your startup a fighting chance to achieve those goals. So whether
that's reaching key milestones, acquiring new users, hitting those revenue targets. Yeah. You need that fuel.
You need the fuel. Okay. Yeah. But on the flip side, he also talks about the dangers of raising too much money.
Interesting.
How can that be a bad thing?
I know it seems kind of counterintuitive.
Yeah.
But I've seen it happen where having access to this like large sum of money can sometimes lead to poor decision-making.
Okay.
It can create this pressure to grow too quickly.
Right.
Which can then lead to overspending, hasty hiring, and just this loss of focus on what truly matters, which is building a great product that solves a real problem. It's almost like having a giant feast laid out before you.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And it's so tempting to just overindulge.
Right.
But then you're going to feel bloated and sluggish.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
Exactly.
You want to find that balance.
Right.
Having enough resources to fuel your growth without sacrificing control and flexibility.
Yeah.
And your core vision.
So it's about finding that sweet spot.
It is.
Having enough to support your goals, but not so much.
Yeah.
That it becomes a distraction or leads to reckless decisions.
Yeah, you want to stay focused on what's important.
And that brings us to, I think, a related point.
Okay.
Team size and burn rate.
Yes. The classic startup trap of overhiring.
Why is this such a common mistake?
I think it's often driven by this desire to scale quickly.
Right.
But it can backfire so fast.
Right, because every new hire adds to your
monthly expenses, right? Which increases your burn rate, the pace at which you're spending your cash.
It's like throwing logs on a fire, right? Without making sure you have enough wood to keep it burning.
You're going to burn out too quickly.
Right. And it's not just about the financial costs.
Right.
Right. Overhiring can also create unnecessary bureaucracy.
Yeah.
Slow down decision-making.
Yeah.
Dilute your company culture.
Yeah. It can throw things off balance really quickly.
So it's about staying lean and focused in those early stages.
For sure.
Building a strong core team. Carefully considering each new hire.
Absolutely. Quality over quantity.
Quality over quantity.
Especially in the beginning.
Exactly. Okay, now let's talk about managing relationships with investors.
Okay.
Graham has seen firsthand how investors can sometimes make things difficult for startups.
They can.
So how can founders navigate this dynamic effectively?
Okay, so it's a crucial relationship.
Yeah.
But it can be tricky.
Right.
To balance the need for funding with the desire to maintain control.
Right, exactly.
So I think open communication is essential. Keep your investors informed about your progress, your challenges, your plans. Be transparent about your key metrics and your decision-making process.
Okay, so transparency is key.
Transparency builds trust.
Yeah.
And it reduces the likelihood of misunderstandings.
So you're saying it's about treating your investors as partners.
Yeah.
Keeping them in the loop. Seeking their guidance while also staying true to your own vision.
And remembering that you're ultimately the one running the company.
Right.
Be confident in your decisions, but also be open to feedback and willing to consider different perspectives.
So it's that balance again.
It always is.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit.
All right, yeah.
Talk about the relationship between value and revenue.
Okay.
Graham uses Google as an example of a company that focused on building a great product first and monetizing later.
Interesting.
Why is that approach often so effective?
Because at the end of the day, a startup's success hinges on creating something that people truly want and are willing to pay for. Right.
If you prioritize monetization too early, you risk sacrificing the quality of your product or alienating your users.
It's like trying to sell a half-baked cake.
Oh, yeah.
No one's going to be happy.
No one wants that.
With the result.
You got to bake the cake first.
Exactly.
And then you figure out how to slice it up.
Then you slice it.
And sell it.
Okay, so you're saying focus on delivering that real value to your users.
Yeah.
And then the revenue will follow.
And the revenue will follow.
Like Facebook, Instagram.
Exactly.
Right, they built those engaged communities and then figured out the monetization later. Okay, so how do you know when it's the right time to start thinking about monetization?
It depends on your product and your market.
Right.
But in general, I think it's a good idea to wait until you have a solid user base and a deep understanding of what your users value. Okay. Once you have that foundation, then you can start experimenting.
With different monetization strategies.
So whether that's
advertising subscriptions, freemium models.
Okay.
You have options.
You have options.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's talk about something that I think a lot of technical founders dread.
Oh, what is it?
And that is sales and marketing.
Oh, yeah.
Why are these functions so crucial?
I mean, you can build the most amazing product in the world.
Right.
But if no one knows about it,
Yeah.
it's not going to succeed.
Right.
You've got to get the word out.
Yeah.
Generate leads, convert those leads into paying customers.
It's like building this beautiful store.
Yes.
In the middle of nowhere.
In the middle of the desert.
Right. You need people to be able to find it.
You need a road.
And get through the door.
Yeah.
Right. So while some things might go viral organically,
yeah,
most startups need to invest in some level of sales and marketing.
Some level.
To reach their target audience. So even if you're a technical founder, you can't ignore the importance of marketing and sales. But how do you approach these functions effectively?
I think it starts with understanding your target audience, figuring out where they hang out.
Right.
Then you can tailor your messaging and choose the right channels to reach them.
So it's all about being strategic.
Totally.
Experimenting, finding what works best.
And finding what works best.
For your business.
Yeah.
It's finding those creative and effective ways to tell your story and connect with your audience.
It's not just about shouting from the rooftops. It's about building relationships, providing value, engaging with your audience in a meaningful way.
Okay. Before we dive into the next set of challenges, I want to remind our listeners that if you're looking for more insights and resources on startups and business growth, be sure to visit us at www.zconsultant.com.
Great website.
We've got tons of helpful articles, guides, and tools to help you on your entrepreneurial journey.
Absolutely.
Now let's talk about a topic that can be a bit sensitive.
Okay.
And that is founder dynamics.
Ooh, yeah.
Graham mentions that a significant percentage of Y Combinator startups lose founders along the way.
It happens.
Why does this happen and how can it be avoided?
Starting a company with someone is like embarking on this intense, high-stakes journey together.
Right.
It's bound to put a strain on any relationship.
So it's really crucial to choose those co-founders carefully.
For sure. Look for people who not only share your passion, but also complement your skills and have compatible working styles.
It's like assembling a crew.
It is.
For a challenging expedition.
Yeah.
Right? You need people you can trust, rely on.
You need to know they can handle the pressure.
And handle the pressure, right?
Yeah.
And even with the best team in place.
Yeah.
Conflicts are inevitable.
They are.
How can founders handle these disagreements effectively?
Yeah.
Without derailing the entire venture?
I think open and honest communication is essential.
Okay.
You need to be able to have tough conversations respectfully.
Right.
And work towards solutions that benefit the company as a whole.
So it's really about putting the company first.
The company first.
Right.
And it's also important, I think, to establish clear roles and responsibilities from the get-go.
Okay, so that minimizes...
Yeah, to minimize ambiguity and power struggles.
Right, so it's about...
It's about...
laying a strong foundation...
Yes.
...of trust communication...
Trust.
...and mutual respect.
Mutual respect, for sure.
Now let's talk about commitment.
Okay.
Graham emphasizes the importance of being all in.
Yeah.
When you're starting a company. Why is that level of dedication so crucial?
Because building a successful startup is so incredibly demanding.
It is.
It requires just an immense amount of time, energy, focus.
Yeah, you're building something from nothing.
Yeah.
Right?
Facing constant challenges.
Right.
Navigating uncharted territory.
So if you're only half-heartedly committed, it's unlikely that you're going to achieve that level of success you're aiming for.
It's like trying to climb Mount Everest.
Okay.
While carrying this like heavy backpack full of distractions and doubts.
You've got to be laser focused.
You've got to be laser focused.
On that task at hand.
On the task at hand.
And it's not just about the hours you put in.
No.
It's about your mindset.
Totally.
You need to be willing to make sacrifices, take risks, persevere through those setbacks.
It's about that unwavering belief.
Right.
In your vision and in your ability to make it a reality.
And even when things get tough.
Yeah, even when things get tough, that's when it really matters.
Right, that's when you really see what you're made of.
Yeah.
It sounds like that unwavering commitment's almost like a superpower.
It helps.
Right.
But remember, even with unwavering commitment,
there
are no guarantees in the startup world.
Right.
However, by understanding those common pitfalls and learning from those who've gone before you, you can significantly increase your chances of success.
And that's why we're doing this deep dive.
Exactly.
To unpack those insights and help you navigate this challenging but rewarding world.
Yeah. It's a roller coaster.
Of startups, yeah.
That's a fun one.
It is fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's recap
Okay.
some of the key takeaways from Paul Graham's essay.
All right.
And see how they can be applied in a practical way.
Let's do it.
Where do we start?
Okay, first and foremost, focus on building a strong founding team.
Okay.
As we discussed earlier, having co-founders or a core team can provide invaluable support, different perspectives, and that shared responsibility.
Right.
But finding the right people is key.
Yeah.
Look for individuals who share your passion, complement your skills, and are truly in it for the long haul.
It's like assembling a team.
It is.
Of superheroes.
Yes.
Each with their own unique abilities.
Love that analogy.
Right, ready to tackle
any challenge that
comes their way.
Yeah.
Okay, now beyond the core team, don't underestimate the power of mentors and advisors.
Oh, yeah. Huge.
These are the experienced individuals who can provide that guidance, that support, that valuable outside perspective.
That mentorship is so key.
Yeah. So it's really about building that network of support.
Totally.
Both internally and externally.
Internally and externally.
Okay.
All right, so let's revisit location.
Okay.
As we talked about, Silicon Valley might not be the only game in town anymore.
Right.
Choosing the right location for your startup, I think, involves weighing those pros and cons of different ecosystems, considering factors like access to talent funding, cost of living, and even cultural fit.
Right. And with the rise of remote work, location might not be that deciding factor.
Yeah, not as much.
It once was.
Yeah.
But it's still worth considering.
For sure.
Carefully.
You want to think about it.
Where you plant your startup's roots.
Yeah, where you're going to be spending your time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, now when it comes to your product or service,
okay,
remember Graham's advice about avoiding that tiny niche.
Yeah.
And the imitation trap.
Right. Don't be afraid to tackle a problem that resonates with you.
Yeah.
Even if it means entering a competitive market.
Right.
Bring your own unique perspective, your innovative approach, and your passion to the table.
So it's really about finding that sweet spot.
It is.
A problem worth solving.
Yeah.
A market with potential. And a solution that stands out.
That stands out from the crowd.
From the crowd, okay.
Yeah.
And once you're in the game, remember the importance of adaptability.
Adaptability. Huge.
Be willing to listen to your users.
Yes.
Gather feedback and adjust your course as needed.
You got to stay flexible.
It's about embracing that iterative process.
It is.
Right. Build, measure, learn, repeat.
I love that. Yeah. Build, measure, learn, repeat.
Okay, now let's talk about building your team.
Okay.
For non-technical founders, finding and hiring talented developers can be a real challenge.
For sure.
Don't hesitate to seek expert advice.
Absolutely.
Whether it's from a trusted friend, a technical advisor, or a specialized recruiter.
You need that help.
And when evaluating developers, look beyond the resume.
Yes. Look at those code samples.
Right.
Conduct technical tests. Get a sense of their problem-solving abilities and their communication skills.
So it's really about seeing how they think.
It is.
Not just what they've done in the past.
Exactly.
Okay, and remember, hiring the wrong developer can be...
Oh, it can be a costly mistake.
A costly mistake.
Both in terms of time and money.
Time and money.
Take the time to find the right fit.
Okay. Now, along those lines, let's talk about managing your finances.
Okay.
As we discussed earlier.
Yep.
Finding the right funding balance is key. Make sure you have enough runway. To achieve those goals. Without taking on more money than you need.
More than you need. You don't want to get ahead of yourself.
Right. And closely monitor your burn rate.
Yes. Burn rate is so important.
The pace at which you are spending your cash.
Yeah. You got to know where your money's going.
Stay lean in those early stages.
Stay lean.
Focus on the essential hires. Make sure your spending aligns with your revenue projections.
It's all about planning.
It's all about planning.
And being smart.
Being financially savvy. Managing your resources wisely. Making sure every dollar counts.
Every dollar counts.
Now, when it comes to your investors, remember the importance of open communication.
Yes.
Transparency. Mutual respect.
Mutual respect, huge.
Treat them as partners.
Yeah, they're on your team.
Keep them informed. Seek their guidance while also staying true to your own vision.
Yeah, you're the captain of the ship.
And making your own decision.
Exactly.
So it's about finding that balance.
Yeah.
Between collaboration and autonomy.
I like that.
Right? And when it comes to generating revenue, remember that it's often best to focus on building a great product or service first and monetizing later.
Monetizing later?
It's like building a loyal audience for a podcast.
Oh, yeah.
right? You focus on delivering that valuable content.
The content.
And then the sponsorships and the monetization opportunities will follow.
They will come.
Right.
If you provide the value.
You provide the value.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's talk about something
that
many founders find intimidating.
What's that?
And that is sales and marketing. The art of getting your product or service out there and connecting
with your purple.
With your target audience.
Your audience.
So even if you are a technical founder, you can't underestimate.
You can't hide from it.
Yeah. The importance of sales and marketing.
You got to do it.
You got to do it.
Yeah.
Find creative ways to tell your story.
Yes. Tell your story.
Connect with your audience and build a brand.
Build that brand.
That resonates. With your target market.
Yeah.
It's about making sure people know you exist.
Yeah. You got to get out there.
Understand what you offer and see the value.
And
what you're doing.
Yeah.
And it's an ongoing process.
It is.
Right? You need to constantly be
experimenting.
Adapting. Refining your approach.
Okay, now let's circle back to this topic of founder dynamics.
Yeah.
Choosing the right co-founders is crucial.
It's so important.
But even with the best team in place, conflicts are inevitable.
Happens all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's where
strong communication
is key.
And conflict resolution skills come into play. You got to be open and honest.
Yeah.
Listen to each other's perspectives.
Be a good listener.
And find solutions that benefit the company as a whole.
The company comes first.
It's about remembering you're all on the same team.
Yeah, you're all in it together.
Working towards a shared goal. And don't forget the importance of establishing clear roles and responsibilities.
From the beginning.
From the outset.
Yes.
This helps to minimize ambiguity. And reduce the potential for power struggles.
Yeah, nobody wants that.
So it's about setting clear expectations.
Yes, clear expectations.
Defining boundaries. Making sure everyone's on the same page. Right from the start.
From the beginning,
Okay, and finally, let's talk about commitment.
Okay.
As we've discussed.
Yeah.
Building a successful startup requires...
It requires a lot.
An incredible amount. Of dedication, perseverance, and resilience.
You've got to have it all.
You got to be all in.
It's all in?
Both mentally and emotionally.
Totally.
It's about having that unwavering belief in your vision. Even when faced with those setbacks, those challenges, and those moments of doubt.
It's going to happen.
You're
going to have those moments of doubt.
It's about having that grit.
The grit.
To push through those tough times.
Yeah.
Learn from those mistakes.
Mistakes are okay.
And keep moving forward.
It
sounds like that level of commitment is almost like a muscle.
It is.
The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
So
you got to keep flexing that muscle.
And I keep flexing.
Keep pushing through. Those tough times.
We got this.
Okay, before we wrap up our discussion, I want to remind our listeners that if you're looking for more insights, resources, and guidance on your startup journey, be sure to visit us at www.zconsultant.com.
We got you covered.
We've got a wealth of information on our website.
Yeah, tons of resources.
From articles and guides to templates and tools.
All designed to help you succeed.
Everything you need to navigate this exciting and challenging world.
For sure.
Of startups. I think it has been an incredibly insightful conversation.
Totally.
And I think we've covered so much ground that's valuable for anyone involved in the startup world.
Yeah, for sure.
Whether they're just starting out or already on their journey.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. And remember, every startup journey is unique. There's no one-size-fits-all formula for success.
Right.
But by understanding those common challenges, learning from those who have come before you, and focusing on building a solid foundation, you can increase your odds of navigating those twists and turns of startup life and ultimately achieving your goals.
I think that's a really important point. Like, there's no magic bullet.
But
there are definitely strategies and insights that can make a huge difference in your success.
They can set you up for success.
Yeah.
Exactly. And remember, the journey itself is often just as valuable as the destination.
Oh, that's a good point.
The lessons you learn, the connections you make, the resilience you build along the way.
Yeah.
Those are all invaluable assets that will serve you well no matter what the outcome of your startup may be.
That's a great perspective. It's about embracing the journey, the challenges, and the growth that comes with building something new.
It's all part of the process.
It is.
Right, and remember, you're not alone in this journey.
Right.
There's a whole community of entrepreneurs, investors, mentors, advisors out there who are willing to share their experiences, offer support, and help you navigate the ups and downs of startup life.
And that's where resources like Z Consulting come in.
Exactly.
You're here to provide that guidance, that support, that network of connections.
That's what we do.
To help you succeed.
We're here to help.
So if you're looking for more insights, resources, or just a sounding board for your ideas, don't hesitate to reach out.
Reach out. We'd love to hear from you.
We're here to help.
We're here to help.
And be sure to visit our website, www.zconsultant.com.
Great website.
For a wealth of information, articles, guides, and tools.
Tons of resources.
Designed specifically for startups and entrepreneurs.
We're constantly updating it with new content, so be sure to check back often. And, of course, subscribe to this podcast. For more deep dives into the world of startups, business, and innovation.
We release new episodes every Wednesday and Sunday at 7 p.m.
See you there.
Thank you for tuning in to the Z Consulting Podcast.
Thanks, everyone.
We look forward to having you join us again.